The tsundere younger brother awkwardly looked away, but the next moment he remembered something. If he remembered correctly, she seemed to be the daughter of Prime Minister Wang, right? Thinking of this, Shu Xinian's face showed a trace of disdain. He had a very poor impression of the Wang family. This was because the Wang and Wei factions were political enemies. The Wang faction had persecuted his elder brother several times. He remembered all of this in his heart. At this moment, the old lady commented, "The Duke of Zhenbei is hailed as the most talented warrior of Dafeng in the past 200 years. Unfortunately, he is not in the capital, otherwise, these bald monks wouldn't be so arrogant." Shu Xinian gave her a somewhat surprised look. This woman knows quite a lot. Her knowledge is not something common women possess. I wonder where Big Brother met such a married woman. Suddenly, everyone's attention returned to Mount Foshan. After resting for a moment, Shu Qian planned to continue ascending the steps. Only then did the audience realize that he never intended to give up. Shu Qian didn't encounter any more checkpoints along the way, directly came to monk Jingxi. At this moment, Jingxi's whole body looked as if cast in gold, emitting a faint golden glow. Shu Qian stopped walking and asked from the lower steps, "Can I take a break?" Jingxi, the little monk, sat cross-legged and nodded calmly, saying, "Feel free to regulate your breath, benefactor." Shu Qian didn't wait for him to finish. Then he sat down by himself and casually chatted, "Did the master become a monk since childhood?" Monk Jingxi nodded in affirmation. Shu Qian asked again, "Master, do you train in Zen or martial arts?" Jingxi replied, "Both Zen and martial arts." Shu Qian thought to himself, is there really such a thing as training in both Zen and martial arts? This young monk's talent is quite astonishing. Thinking of this, he continued to speak. "I heard that Buddhism emphasizes engaging with the world before transcending it. Master, you became a monk from a young age. Do you not even have a family? What kind of family are you talking about now?" Monk Jingxi realized that Shu Qian wanted to debate Buddhist teachings with him, and said fearlessly, "Leaving the household means to shed worldly troubles and enter the monastic life. There is no need to be pedantic, benefactor. I have been practicing Buddhism since childhood. Traveling through the western regions, I've experienced all kinds of suffering." Shu Qian thought to himself, what nonsense about experiencing all 8 kinds of suffering. You haven't even gone through mortgage payments, car loans, or exorbitant dowries. Talking about experiencing the 8 sufferings of life in front of me. Outside the painting, Biao Biao asked in confusion, "Why is the dog slave chatting with that smelly monk?" The princess explained, "That last strike has exhausted his strength." Shu Qian wants to debate with the monk, trying to win with his eloquence. Shu Qian in the painting slowly stood up and continued to ask, "What does Master Qi think of women?" Monk Jingxi's concise evaluation, bone-scraping knife. Shu Qian looked at him with a smile. "It's too early to say. Master has never encountered women. How can he know that women aren't the most wonderful things in the world?" Jingxi remains unmoved. "Indeed, I have never experienced women, but women are as fierce as tigers. This has been passed down through generations of monks. Benefactor, do not argue irrationally." Shu Qian stared at him. "Well, I have a few questions for you, Master. Have you ever supported your parents? Have you ever worked hard to manage a household?" Jingxi opens his mouth to speak, but can't utter a single word. Shu Qian continues, "Buddhism doesn't engage in production, chanting sutras and reciting Buddha's name all day long. Still need donors to support. I ask you, which sutra are you reciting? You walk through the world as an observer. Does that count as understanding the suffering of all beings? The 8 sufferings of life. You, Jingxi, have only experienced birth, none of the others at all. You're just a fake monk." Jingxi was startled, obviously shaken by these words. He pondered for a long time, then, gritting his teeth, he replied, "The Buddha observes everything in the world. You will naturally understand the world's suffering." Shu Qian nodded. With a clang, he drew out the black gold long knife. Then, on his own palm, he directly slashed a bleeding wound. He exposed his wound to Jingxi. "Master, do you think I'm in pain?" Jingxi pressed his hands together, closed his eyes and said in a deep voice, "The blade cuts the flesh. How could it not hurt?" Shu Qian asked again, "Then do you know how much I hurt?" Jingxi's eyes suddenly widened. "How much?" He fell silent. "He has a Vajra body. Blades cannot harm him." He indeed couldn't answer. Shu Qian said disdainfully, Master, don't you understand yet? This is what you call observation? You only know my pain, but surely don't know how much it hurts. You can't even fathom the suffering of all beings. Then how can we save all beings? Isn't it a joke? Jingxi tightly closed his eyes and clasped his hands. He kept chanting the Buddha's name to suppress the unease in his heart. Shu Qian continued speaking. Let me tell you a story. One year, there was a great drought. The people had no rice to eat, and countless people starved to death. After hearing about this, a young man from a wealthy merchant family said something unusual. Master, do you know what he said? Jingxi asked persistently. What did he say? Shu Qian stared at the little monk Jingxi with a mocking smile, and said word by word, why not eat meat? The monk Jingxi was struck as if by lightning. Pupils gradually dilate, face stiffens and becomes expressionless. The crowd outside cheers loudly. Well said. The young monk was speechless. At this moment, the morale of the capital soared. Even the proud little brother was stunned. The monk's resolve was shaken by the barrage of arguments from the elder. If the invincible Vajra is cancelled, the Western Buddhist sect will lose. At this moment, Shu Qian threw the black gold long knife in front of monk Jingxi, and said in a deep voice, Master, if you think what I said is wrong, if you think you can truly experience the suffering of the people, why not give it a try? Remove your invincibility, and cut your arm, then you will understand my pain. Not why don't they eat meat porridge? Jingxi kept shaking his head, as if convincing himself not to try. No. If I take away the invincible Vajra, I will lose. Shu Qian patiently guided. Monks see through worldly affairs. Yet you are so attached to winning and losing, which is already a lower path. Losing a duel. Yet you have seen a broader sky, experienced the true Dharma. Master Dunking and Master Zhang made their own judgments. Monk Jingxi's expression gradually became complex, showing signs of inner conflict and struggle. He slowly extended his hand, gripped the black gold long knife. A monk should be free from worldly attachments, shouldn't be obsessed with winning or losing. Why not eat meat porridge? Shu Qian's lips curled up. Everything is under control, but at this very moment, a voice echoed in the sky, resounding in everyone's ears. Jingxi, you are attached to appearances. The handsome young monk woke up as if from a dream. He jerked his hand back as if electrocuted. The black and gold long knife clanged to the ground. Gradually, Jingxi's eyes regained clarity. Chief Minister Wang, enraged, threw his cup and stood up. Scoundrel, Arhat Du, can't the Buddhist sect afford to lose? The officials behind him also exploded at the same time. Shameless bald donkey, practice more if you're bad. If you can't afford to lose, don't play. How shameless of the Buddhist community. Monk Jingchen said blandly, the supervisor can secretly help. Why can't our Buddhist sect do the same? Chief Minister Wang was about to explode with anger. Nonsense. Supervisor intervened to help. Do you have evidence? Master Du ignored Zenshin's tirade, and glanced at Jingchen, saying calmly, aren't you also clinging to form? Jingchen lowered his head, and recited a Buddhist prayer with his hands together. Disciple knows his sin. In the painting, Jingxi shamelessly said, bracing himself, if you wish to pass the second trial, you must break through my invincible Vajra. Shu Qian was secretly annoyed. Damn it, there's both a literary and a martial duel in this competition. In this, everyone relies on their own abilities. Your forceful intervention from outside is too much. He immediately stopped talking, held his breath and controlled all his energy. A quarter of an hour later, Shu Qian picked up the black gold long knife, and sheathed it. He held the hilt and said loudly, I will strike only once. Life or death, you bear the consequences. Jingxi did not answer. Looking at his expression, it seemed he felt too ashamed to respond.